Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Loan Officer Life. We are all about hustle, heart, and home ownership. And for my longtime listeners and subscribers, you know the drill. I love to learn about new people that I'm just meeting, new products, new services, new strategies. And we get to do that today with Leslie Lerner. Leslie was introduced to me by a friend, Nathan Nottingham. And anytime Nate makes a connection, I got to check it out. And so we had a brief call, and we both promised we would save all of our learnings, or really my learning, to this podcast. So, Leslie, real quick, I'm just going to talk a little bit about your background. You're the founder and CEO of LernMore, which we're going to talk about for sure today. You're also the broker owner of Leslie Lerner Properties in Greater Houston. And as I'm stalking your LinkedIn profile, I see that you are part of the Texas Real Estate Commission and are a commissioner there. So, man, you got a lot going on. How the heck, how did you carve out time for this podcast?
You just do what you got to do and you make it work. So,
Well, I appreciate you joining me. Now that I gave a very skeletal overview, why don't you share with the audience who you really are, what you're really up to, and then we'll get into what's going on at LernMore.
great. Well, you did some good stalking. I am Leslie Lerner. I'm from Houston, Texas. I have a brokerage here, and I launched LernMore recently, seeing that AI was really becoming prevalent and also that people don't understand what they're signing. So I know many of us send things for electronic signature. We sign things not knowing what we're signing, and this is to help alleviate that problem. So people can see their documents and understand their documents in any language. So LernMore is great. All you have to do is upload whatever PDF you have. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, loan, insurance, your last will and testament, whatever it may be. You can upload it for meaning, and we will give you meaning in whatever languages you choose. You can get FAQs, examples, e-sign through the system. You can ask it questions. There's just so many things you can do with LernMore.
Yeah, it is amazing to me how fast AI is capturing space across kind of everything we do, right? I mean, this podcast has some AI components to it. After we're done, I will use the transcript to create show notes and some promotional stuff. That's more on the biz dev marketing side. I love learning about applications that are like real life, like touching consumers and helping address problems that consumers have. I mean, an hour before we hit record, I signed an NDA. I reviewed it just so everybody knows. But had I had any questions, I'm sitting in DocuSign. You can't really ask questions about a document in DocuSign. So can we just like take a real life example of a buyer, and
absolutely.
We'll say it's a buyer who's where English is their second or even maybe third language, and describe in the process how a buyer, and I'm presuming you're using this in your brokerage today, how your buyers would interact with the platform.
That's a great question. And I'm going to just go through exactly. I just used it for a first-time home buyer.
Oh, I love that.
And they came back and said, oh my gosh, this is the best thing. We never knew this existed. I'm like, well, I can tell you where to get it. So, and these are pretty knowledgeable people. So the way I use it in my business is I take after I get out a zip form or however I've prepared the contract, I upload it into LernMore and I let it process the documents. I choose whatever languages I want. I can choose English, Spanish, Vietnamese, all together. I mean, if a husband and wife speak different languages or however it's going to be. And then it processes the document on through, and then I share it with my clients. And I can share it through the system by putting their email in there, but I can also take the link that I just sent them and send it as an email. So many times I write a little email. You'll be getting this through LernMore, but these are the highlights of your contract. And here's how you learn more. And I
Yeah.
give them the link as well. And then the nice thing is I use it as a risk reduction tool as well. So once everything is opened on the client side, the sender will get a link saying it's been opened.
Mm.
There's also a little box at the bottom. Once they get through the document, it says, I understand my documents and I consent to sign. So I get that as well. So all of that goes into my folder to hopefully protect me if anything comes up in the future.
Right.
So I can also set up templates for e-signature and have them sign through there. Many CRMs are using us as well, and they have their own signature platform. So it all works seamlessly with that as well. So it's just a seamless process that bridges the gap between the person sending and the person not knowing what they're reading, and also with the language issues.
Yeah, I think to me, when I first learned what you built, what you guys had, brought to market, I wasn't as focused on the language, but that's a fascinating use case, and it's real life. I mean, especially in your market, you're going to have a lot of, English as a second language buyers and sellers probably.
Right. And then we're in the loan arena. I've noticed a lot of e-hybrid closings lately.
Yeah.
And this is like huge for that, because we don't know that our clients, I guess the clients of the lender, they don't know what they're signing. They have no idea what their obligations are, which the terms are. And so this really helps with that.
So if I'm a buyer and I'm a borrower now, let's just flip over to the lending side. And I've clicked my link that you or the loan officer or the closing agent, whoever sent me that. And do I have to interrogate the document, or is it intuitive, the platform intuitive enough to say, you're looking at the mortgage deed of trust, and it starts to just talk about what you're signing and what it's obligating you to?
Yes, it's very customized. It goes paragraph by paragraph. It will use your borrower's name in there, your name, the amount of money on each side of it. It goes literally through every document and what the terms are.
And so as I'm reading this as the borrower, I'm scrolling down and it's going to the next section, next paragraph, giving me, do I have to advance the screen, or is it just as easy as scrolling through?
So you can scroll through, but you can also do it paragraph by a little pull down. Oh, I want to learn more about paragraph 1.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about paragraph 10. And you can skip around if you want, and then you just go through the pages.
So I've got it. Go ahead.
Sorry. Then we
No,
have a chat bot that you can say, so what is my first payment going to be? And it'll give you that information as well in any language.
Right. That's a cool feature, right? You can actually ask questions, because I believe that a lot of consumers are afraid to ask questions. They don't want to look like they don't understand.
Right.
And so by giving them a tool that, at their own leisure, kind of a safe space where they can ask questions and, more importantly, get answers and understanding, it just it ultimately creates a better experience.
Absolutely. And the nice thing that also any lender or company or team or anybody can do is they can personalize it. They can use their colors, their logo, everything on LernMore. So it's easy customizable. And if you need us, and it's a larger company who wants to integrate it into their own systems on their platform, we can do that as well.
Yeah, that's huge. That way you're kind of carrying through the consistency of the brand, the logo, the look and feel. So I've got to ask, like, how I get the concept, I get where the idea comes from, because I definitely understand the problem and I see the solution. But how do you take a big swing like this? Like, how did you say, we're going to go build this? Was it just to serve your own business first?
No, it wasn't. So I started out as a teacher, and I just have that teacher mentality, and I'm very scared of risk on top of it. So I was always trying to say, how can I solve this problem? And I couldn't figure it out. And I don't like working two sides of a deal. And I will type out every paragraph almost to explain what it is, just so I have it in my files that I tried whatever I could to do it. And then I just saw AI emerging, and I'm like, I don't really understand this, but let me figure this out. And I was at the gym and I mentioned to a friend, I'm going, thinking of this concept, but I'm sure it exists to explain what contracts mean. And so she's like, let me put you in touch with somebody who kind of does websites and knows people in this arena. And literally, I've had ideas for all my life, but I don't go through with them. This one, I'm like, you know what? If there's not anything out there, maybe I can do it. And I could not believe there was not one thing that does what we do.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And did you, I mean, how much training do you have to do on the platform, or did you have to do before you were like ready for prime time? Meaning,
Um,
how much did you train your model?
we've trained a whole lot and we continue to train. I actually started out with documents being static. Like, here's your documents, like knocking on doors saying, let's put your documents in here and all of your employees or your association members or whatever can use it. And they weren't filled in or anything. And I came across an association, a real estate association, and they said, you can't use our documents. And I'm like, wait, but I'm trying to provide transparency. Isn't that the key word these days?
Right.
And they're like, nope, you can't use our documents. We don't understand AI. We don't have a process for you. I mean, it was really kind of not a forward thinking conversation.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I already have this platform out there. And so I'm like, people can upload their own documents and it takes me out of the picture.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to not start over completely, but tweak a lot.
Yeah.
And that's how we came to where we are now.
Interesting. Now, from a because you already hit on this, you're risk averse, which is part of why this was developed. How much language is there for the consumer that, I'm assuming you're advising them that if they have more questions and they're able to get answers to, that they should, seek counsel from, either their agent and or perhaps an attorney's. Is there like some language that kind of covers all the players in that regard?
I have it everywhere I can have it. This is not a legal platform. This is a contract understanding educational platform.
Right on. Yeah.
And I make sure that is everywhere. I don't ever want the unlicensed practice of law, and nor do I want, like you, if you used it for your clients, to ever get in that situation as
Right.
well.
Right. Yeah, it's I definitely see the use case. What's your strategy to expand beyond, greater Houston, maybe even outside of Texas? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'm not even focused on Houston and everywhere else. I'm just like, here you are, everybody take it. So we have patents and we're going internationally as well. I'm just going everywhere. I'm looking to integrate into CRMs, into businesses like lenders, like the lenders who want to use it for all of their clients to help them with the transparency issue.
Yeah.
Property management companies have been a big one. So anything is fair game. Anyone that has documents that have heavy legal language that people don't understand, this is the perfect solution.
Love that. So I want to close the loop on LernMore, but then I want to switch the conversation a little bit. What's the best way for people to learn more about LernMore?
Well, you have to remember that learn in the LernMore does not have an A. It's like my last name, LernMore, and it's learnmore.com.
Awesome.
We call ourselves your helping hand to understand.
Love that. And guys, I'm going to put the link to the LernMore website in the show notes. So wherever you're watching or listening today, scroll into the show notes and you'll see the links to the LernMore website, to Leslie directly. And so you'll have all that information. So since we have an audience of loan officers, Leslie, and you are a broker in the greater Houston market, can we talk a little bit about kind of the loan officer real estate professional relationship?
Absolutely.
I always like to find opportunities to educate our audience and maybe give them give them some real life tips on how to better serve their partners in their, in their respective markets. So I'm not familiar with enough with the Houston market to understand any kind of market nuances, what's going on in the market. I assume, it's probably not too dissimilar to kind of the macro real estate space. I would assume it's been challenging for first-time home buyers from an inventory perspective, affordability, all the stuff that we hear about real estate, and then of course the mortgage, folks that are seeking to find, brokers and agents like yourself to partner with. What's the best tip you would give a loan officer today who is trying to break in to a new, to a new relationship, a new brokerage, a new agent? Like what's important to you in that loan officer, real estate professional relationship that you would advise someone today to focus on?
What I focus on for anything in my life is communication. How do you communicate with the people that you're trying to help or work with? And the more communication and more transparency to me, the better off we are.
Right.
I love those personal relationships. I don't like to call an 800 number and sit on a phone and hope I get to the right person. I like to be able to verify somebody's pre-qualified, because I can get a letter anytime. And the way I've seen fraudulent letters, so I like to verify everything. So, and have that relationship. I get calls from lenders all the time just saying, I just want to talk to you about this person's loan and whatever. I think that's awesome. But there are lenders out there that'll push you away every time you call. I can't talk to you or whatever. Right. That's not how we work. We're a team. We're trying to get the same thing done.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of fraudulent pre-approval letters, how hard would it be for anybody to go on to AI today and as a consumer and, create what looks like otherwise a legitimate pre-approval letter?
I've seen so much fraud in just doing that type of thing, or deed fraud, lease fraud. There's so much fraud in today's world that it's pretty scary.
It is. And typically when you get in markets that are, challenged is when desperation becomes part of the equation. And that's when you really have to have your antenna up for sure and protect everybody in the transaction.
Yeah. An agent asked me the other day, she's like, well, my client just had a credit report run. Can we just use that one? I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, I don't know where that came from. And that could be fraudulent. Yeah.
What I'm curious on the first time home buyer front. I spent a lot of time in that space with our business at FinLocker. That's kind of the consumer that we developed our tech for. And as I talk to lenders and originators and even real estate professionals across the country, there's a common theme, especially in their first time home buyer business, where it's taking a lot longer on average from when someone says, I'm ready to buy my first home, until that kind of point in time where they make that transaction happen. Like, what are the best strategies to stay meaningfully connected for 6 or longer months as someone's going through this readiness journey, or just waiting for inventory to kind of free up? Like, how do you stay connected with that prospect?
It goes back to the same thing: communication and knowing that you're reliable and that you're a good source of information. I've noticed with first-time home buyers, they don't know what they're doing, and they go to the internet and chat GPT for everything. And then they want to use that against you as well, going, well, the internet said this. And I'm like, well, it's not really how it goes. Yeah. And they're always like, they'll go with the first lender they find online and whatever else. And I'm like, you have to realize you need to talk to several people and see who you connect with and who's going to best suit your needs. Just going right online and figuring this all out for yourself usually doesn't work so well.
Yeah, it's interesting. We see, we're seeing more younger first-time home buyers spend more time in the financial preparation phase before they even engage with anybody, whether it's on the property search side or the pre-approval side. And so they're kind of left to their own devices to a certain degree. And your advice around, don't just rely on the first link you click on a Google search or a chat, an AI search is great advice. Having said that, if you look at the most recent JD Power kind of real estate surveys, there's still a high percentage of consumers that do end up going with the first lender that they talk to. And so, I think all of us that are in the equation, whether you're on the lending side, whether you're on the property real estate side, or even on the technology side, it's on all of us to continue to educate these buyers that, and we're not, throwing shade at any lender per se, but we all have to do our diligence on who we ultimately work for or work with on this type of transaction. It's going to be the largest asset that I acquire for my portfolio and the largest liability that goes along with that. And so it's a big deal.
You just used one of my favorite words, and it's educate. I always say I'm not a salesperson, I'm an educator. I educate you to make good decisions. So I'm not going to twist your arm for a sale or anything like that. And I think there's a lot of people out there that do. They just want the commission. They just want the sale, and they find the easiest way from A to Z. And that's not the person you want on your side.
Right. Well, in this market, that person that you just described they're not going to have great success.
No.
Because they're looking for quick wins. They're not going to be willing to spend 3 months, 6 months, 9 months with somebody that's just not ready to transact. And so
the saddest part of all of it is, and I say this all the time, nobody knows the difference between a good agent or a bad agent, a good loan officer or a bad loan officer, because they don't have the experience to know that. So they just go and think everything's fine until it's not. So that's the really scary part to me. And I see it all the time. As a commissioner, I'm like, how did somebody even start working with this person?
That's the product we've got to develop. It's like the Uber rating for agents and loan officers.
Yeah. The saddest part about ratings too is one person will get mad at you about something and they don't even know what they're talking about. And then they give you a poor rating when you were doing just what you were supposed to do.
Well, we talk a lot about the importance of loan officers showing up everywhere and as often as possible, like physically showing up. If you can be at the closing, it's in your best interest, loan officer, to be at the closing, because if something goes sideways at the closing, the easiest person to point the finger at is the person that's not sitting at the table.
Right. 100%. And I try to go to all my closings just to be there. Even if I'm not doing anything, I sit there.
And there's one way to think about it. I'm going to go there and protect my reputation. Great. But that closing that's the penultimate. That's when the magic's happening and all the excitement's taking place and the keys are getting exchanged. And, you want to be the smile they see across the table when they're getting, the keys to their first home. That's a memory making experience. And as a loan officer, that's just the start really of your, 30-year relationship with this consumer, if you think about it that way.
100%. I mean, the transaction process is so emotional. I mean, we think of it on the outside as a business deal.
Yeah.
When you're inside of it, it's emotional. And you have to understand these people's emotions and kind of work with it.
Yeah, I love it. Leslie, I appreciate you sharing your insights as a professional, as a real estate professional. I super appreciate learning about LernMore. Audience, make sure you check out LernMore.com. Again, go to the show notes. You'll have links to check it all out. The next time I have an agreement come across my desk, I'm going to go check out LernMore myself.
I would love it.
Well, thank you, Leslie, for joining me. Guys, come back next Friday or next weekend. I guess we do this now on Fridays and Saturdays. So you can get this podcast wherever you subscribe, Spotify, Apple, all those places. But also every Saturday morning at 9:30 Eastern, we stream this podcast live on LinkedIn. So if you missed it on Friday when we publish on the podcast network, you can check it out right on LinkedIn on Saturday mornings. Leslie, thank you so much. It's been great getting to know you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
See you guys.